Okay, I thought it would be worth the time to just make a quick video on where we're heading in the class so that you can keep the project straight in your mind since there will be some overlap. So we have the WordPress blog, which is essentially a WordPress site, but right now it looks like a blog. If you went to this site right now, you would see, okay, yeah, it's people talking back and forth. It's definitely a blog. And eventually we will do a WordPress website project where we complete a website in WordPress. But for right now, I just want to get these WordPress sites set up because we're actually going to use them to communicate back and forth to each other on an upcoming project. And you will get several grades along the way for what you're doing in the WordPress blog as an assignment grade, and then later on a project grade for when we get to that. But what we're going to move on to very quickly is a layout project, and that will actually count as a project grade. And here is basically your prep work for what you will do as your final project, which will be the Muse website using Adobe Muse. But as we go through this project as the layout, we're not even going to think about Muse. We're going to pretend that you're on a team in a large design firm and that you are one of the graphic designers only. You know nothing about code. You know how to make beautiful things. So you're going to create every detail of the final project in Photoshop. You'll have several series of layouts of each individual page all taken care of in detail. And this is where we truly, as part of this class, move away from the technical know-how and go more into what we've started as far as color theory and things like that. So this is where very important things that you're learning about the aesthetics and the logic design of websites come in. So such as the textbook for the class and other research that you'll do along the way learning about successful websites. And in a recent Blackboard post or announcement, I added this, which is an article about creating online portfolios that's definitely worth a look into. So there'll be a lot more instruction and talking about laying out this entire website in Photoshop, but when it comes to a close, you'll receive a project grade for it, and then you'll shelve it, so to speak, maybe just for like a week or two, and then you'll get on to your final project, which will be building this site in Muse. Then, well, not then, but in between laying out this site and actually building it in Muse, we will move on to WordPress again. Now you might be thinking, why didn't we just finish WordPress up and then do this? And the reason is twofold. One, I want you to just leave the WordPress site as a blog for a while so that along the way you can communicate with your classmates using the WordPress blog. So you can complete a page or two of your website in Photoshop, put it up on your blog, and then ask for people to comment, make decisions with you about your color choices, see if they think they would understand how to navigate through it, maybe give you suggestions of what can make your site clearer, cleaner, more usable. Also, before we actually start plugging everything together in this site in Muse, it may help some of you to do a quick mock-up of the site in WordPress. Others of you may totally ignore that and just do something totally different in WordPress, but you have that opportunity. So you did your layout, you have it sitting on the shelf for now, then we turn our attentions to WordPress and you come up with a site in WordPress. So now, instead of your WordPress site looking like this, it's going to look more like this, like my site that I. So when you come to this site, it feels more like a website. There is a link here for a blog, but the first thing you see is just like my homepage, something that I put up, and then the site has all the instructional videos and so on. So you'll build something that's appropriate for a topic that you want to come up with. And that transformation from that site looking totally like a blog to looking more like a website is just going to be a matter of changes that we make in the dashboard to the site along the way. You could choose to come up with a brand new URL. I mean, you can have as many WordPress websites as you want. I think you can set up a new one every day. You will finish up in WordPress by making it look, like I just said, more like a website. The topic is up to you. So it can be the same topic that you laid out in the previous project that you will build in Muse for the final project, or it could be something totally different. So here's things to keep in mind as you choose what topics you want to do. Probably the number one thing to take into consideration is if you are a graphic designer or some other type of creative, you probably want to have a portfolio site. So I would highly suggest that at least one of them is a portfolio site, but I'm not going to make it mandatory. As far as choosing a topic, just needs to be something that's classroom appropriate, and if you are choosing a different topic for each one, lean towards the WordPress site as being the one that would more appropriately need a blog. We will not set up a blog on the final project. It can be done in Adobe Muse, but you need a Business Catalyst site, which, that's a topic you can explore on your own, and it requires money. It's you're basically getting web hosting through Adobe. And when I take you through instructional videos on creating the layout in Photoshop and doing a lot of stuff in Muse, they'll be geared towards portfolio sites. But again, you can use your imagination and turn that into just about anything that you're passionate about. So then that would take us to a discussion here of the final project. So now the assumption is you've done the WordPress blog and the WordPress website, and somewhere in between there you laid out a beautiful looking portfolio worthy website that could be shown at a job interview, just mounted to blackboards, like here's a website design that I came up with. And a lot of web design classes in the past for graphic designers used to do just that. I always felt that was a little bit lame, and that you should experience some web actual design, actual making it happen. So what we'll do then is we'll turn to a WYSIWYG, which stands for what you see is what you get type program. And in this case, we'll be using Adobe Muse, and we will make what you laid out in Photoshop as best as we can together as a fully functional website. This is a significant part of your class grade, and justifiably so, because you will have to do a lot of experimenting. You'll have to try out some pages and then go test them on several different browsers, older browsers, newer browsers, see if it's working the way you want, see what happens when it changes size. You should also think about mobile devices. You may not be able to do everything that you dreamt up while creating the layout in Photoshop. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. You just may have to adjust some parameters along the way to make a really beautiful website. So hopefully you feel motivated to see this through to the end with me, and know that what you're going to get out of this is the ability to make WordPress websites, which you could start making money off this right away. You can work in Muse and create websites. Now here you have to be a little more cautious when it comes to taking money from a client to do this, because this is a WYSIWYG program. You may not be able to do everything that you want, but that shouldn't stop you from trying to make money as a creative. You just have to be upfront with your client. If they come up with a website where they say, well, what we want to do is put lawyers from around the county in contact with people who have had a DUI, so this website needs a front end, a back end. Can you help me design it? The answer is yes, absolutely. I am a graphic designer. I'll make that website beautiful. I will need to get a coding person working alongside of me that will actually make this work. And that's where you need to start developing some networks of people that you can work with. Now, if a client comes up to you and says, hey, I own a restaurant, we want to just put the menu online once a week and change it. Well, there you go. Either Muse or WordPress would be perfect for that. That's very simple. You're not most likely going to run into any problems that you couldn't find one way to solve with those two platforms. And then, yet the third option is you never actually make a website again, but you do a whole lot of this, laying them out, working with a team. And that could either be you and a coder that you know, or you working for a ginormous company where you're one of many graphic designers working alongside of many coders.